What is up, YouTube? It's time for a 2 versus 2. As we get closer and closer to our tournament that is going to feature non-standard and competitive gameplay, it's more important than ever to take a look at team games and players who are on the lower end of the skill distribution. So that is what we are going to be doing, because we're going to be seeing a lot more from some of these players who have made it into the tournament, who have signed up for the tournament. 2 out of 4 of the players in this very lobby have done so. So let's take a look at it. We've got Tudor in the top left. He seems to be our beige Terran. Oh, silver pink. My mistake there. And down here in the bottom left is Desire, a forest green Zerg. Now, in the top right, we have the ever-present. Is this it's not royal blue, is it? Oh man, I don't know this color. Maya blue? Neon blue Protoss, that's Mountain, aka Milestone, and in the bottom right we have Noiturne, the black Zerg. So we are going to be seeing an interesting strat being put together here by Mountain and Noiturne apparently. Stockade and Kagrin coming down here for our left team, our western team. And this is a Fields of Cernunnos game, so a map on Fields of Cernunnos, a map by the Shambler. And so we'll see what how the map plays out. You can see there's like one ramp here and one ramp here, and it kind of leads to this very wide ramp, but this one kind of leads into like a more open area. So most of the gameplay, most of the combat in the early stages of the game does end up being between the lower path, and so both players usually end up going in that direction, but you can get nice flanks going as well in the mid game. So we'll see how that takes shape. Noiturne playing double Larvosk pretty early on here, so that's kind of an interesting adaptation there. He's given it his all. It looks like he was looking at this island base up here that he might want to see if he can do something. JK, says Milestone. They're probably they're talking in allied chat, I suppose, or maybe in voice chat now. I don't know. I don't know what their plan is. We're all waiting to see it. Something that you can do in ZVZ is you can just walk up here with a Droleth and start building a Kagrin and force some kind of reaction. It's way too late for that to be too valuable right now, but it is technically a possibility. Looks like Desire is going to finish up a Circuit for anti-surface defense. I like it's sort of like anti-run by, and it kind of helps with drops as well in a limited way. Now, this Palladium on the way for Tudor tells me that we're going to see some Phalanx action pretty soon. Finally, Noiturne's scout will arrive as the Quasith pool comes down rather late, but still a bit of more of a greedy sort of play. We're going to see Noiturne have a lot more workers, I think, early on. Tudor's Mavericks make short work of the scout. And actually, we've got what looks to be like quad Larvos coming out of Desire, so we could end up seeing even more greed. Because look at this, right? Like, we don't have a single tech node. It looks like that's going to be another Circuit, I guess, if I had to guess. I don't know. I don't know what's happening right now, but Desire has a ton of extra Larvosks. You know, people talk about, like, feeding strategies in team games in Starcraft 2, as well as, I guess that's probably a thing in Warcraft 3 with resource sharing. But what they haven't figured out yet is that you can send early workers to your allies' gas or minerals for more efficiency. So that's pretty significant. That's pretty significant. We'll see if anybody ends up using that in team games, because you might end up just having one player go mineral-only heavy, you know, and one player going, gas heavy with the Larvosk build here. Like, we have pure Rilla core for Desire, not a single other thing. And no Kagrid to spread to it either. It's not like this is a 2Z team. Atros coming for Noiturne as he takes his natural. So this triple gate strat from Milestone is going to be going up against double Phalanx with an Eidolon and a second Fulcrum on the way for Tudor. I think the Rilla Rokors will help out here, but only if the Protoss forces just kind of punch through everything else. Now, does Milestone recognize here the level of threat that he's under, and how does he kind of micro around it? He's lost 2 out of his 3 Drakidins, and the others are probably not long for this world. He's going after the Phalanx, which I think is a bit of a mistake. Here come the Rilla Rokors. They will end up expiring off of Kagra very quickly. So that is a big loss of them. He only ends up surviving with 3. So still, this second Phalanx lives. The Eidolon didn't get sniped. And that was all of Milestone's forces with no follow-up there from Noiturne, who's still kind of lagging behind on the attack part. Capping his ridge, though, and getting a little bit further into the game. We have a sieve being put down on the ridge there for Tudor, so that's kind of interesting. I guess that's something you could do for your Zerg ally as well. You see Desire putting down a natural expansion. You could use your worker to cap their ridge so that they don't lose a worker. And then they can mine from your ridge cap there. So that's another thing. Protoss are the best at that because they don't even need to dedicate the worker to constructing. They don't even lose time on it. So with a couple of Drakodins and Quas out here, we are going to see the Quas flood begin for Desire, as they have made a tech node finally. Only took them about 4.5 minutes. The Phalanxes are going to come over here for coverage on that lower base, but I don't think it's going to quite be enough to, you know, say stop the Drakodins from coming in here if it was trying to be retaken. You'd need to posture a little bit more aggressively. Really, Rocorps is coming in just to see if they can nab anything, but they do not successfully find a single thing. Milestone wondering what now. That is a good question. So Noiturne really doesn't have any other tech. You know, no options there for our Black Zerg just yet. And actually no options for Desire. No additional tech has been achieved. I wonder if this is like a pool, if it's purely pool into, you know, tier 2 or something. The Quas Wars with some Drak support. You know, this number of Striders, the Quas are going to struggle against. Noiturne coming in with some Zethicors as well. There are 5 more pairs coming. 5 pairs have already hatched. Desire is going to see if they can fend this assault off all on their own. Right now playing pretty well with regards to the sort of positioning around the Biotic Bastion. Those 2 Drakodins are going to get intercepted, and a third one on the rally. Milestone still has 8 strong down there. This force should still be able to beat what Desire has, but that depends on whether or not Noiturne, I think his forces just got kind of aggroed in anyway. Didn't need to micro too much there. Sending in the Zethicors a little bit more, some reinforcing Drakodins coming. Looks like only a couple of Drakodins will start to fall, but the Phalanxes are in place. We need some kind of follow-up here from Desire to keep those Phalanxes alive, it feels like. They've got pretty good range, but they do need to maybe scooch up a little bit. Yeah, you can see Tudor sending the forces down. It can feel very clumsy to move the Terran army around if you're not practiced in it. And you know what? I'm seeing a pretty... Oh, there were so many friendly fires there on the Zethicors, anti-synergy between the 2 players. But at this point, Noiturne's going to get cleaned up. Milestone dedicated a lot of units over there behind the natural. That was a big loss of military there. Remember, each one of these Drakodins is 150 minerals and 25 gas, plus the time cost when you only have 3 gates. So the time to get up to that army again is going to be a little bit slower. A little bit slower than Milestone would like. By the way, I keep calling Mountain Milestone and vice versa. That's just another case of somebody having multiple IDs. This Avaleth was here from Noiturne to transport, probably to drop, but maybe it got shooed away by the static defense that was already here, so it decided to fall back. Desire with plenty of Larvosks. Definitely looking promising here. And you know, the Phalanxes are going to get focused down a little bit. They have been caught out. Not looking too hot just yet here for Tudor. Maybe attacks out of sync with his ally. Right now, back at home, Noiturne floating a lot of money, but he does have tier 2 complete. He's adding a Matravel nest. And what we're seeing right now from our Western team is that this little expansion up here in the top left is apparently the choice for Tudor. He's also getting those advanced workers so that he can exploit like this neutral gas and this base over here. Interesting choices, interesting choices. Continuing to make Eidolons. It's like tank Eidolon here, right? Phalanx Eidolon. So kind of an interesting choice. Static defense being added for Desire. Clearly something that they appreciate and enjoy. So our Neon Blue Protoss up here in the top right has also taken that base. Both of them ignoring the implied natural of the map layout, which is an interesting position. Now, when the Phalanx count kind of matches the Drakodin count, the Drakodins are just going to get absolutely stuffed. Plus, that's to say nothing about everything else. Now, I think Milestone may have forgotten the layout or something. They're allowing themselves to get totally backed into a corner here. And meanwhile, we've got Quasilisks coming out from Noiturne. I don't know how they stopped this push. All of the Drakodins are dead again. And not really that much friendly fire as the Zethicors have been traded down onto those Striders. So now the pullback here from Noiturne is pretty significant. A couple of Convolisks do finish, and there is some chaff over here to cover for them. Yeah, actually, we've got a lot of Convolisks. That can definitely turn the tide. We'll see, because the Phalanxes are going to deal a lot of damage, and they will be counter-artillery. But they can also deal a lot of splash damage, friendly fire, with regards to those brute spawn that appear. And now the Convolisks trying to take a little bit more of an aggressive stature. Oh, yeah, but they are being splashed down. And you can see Tudor unsieging, recognizes he needs to not be doing all of that. But right now, the Vilgorkor staying alive for a long time, buying a lot of time. And now that they're not in their crowd control mode, can they control the crowds? I don't know that the answer is necessarily yes. He's going to go ahead and deploy them to see if he can focus down the Convolisks, but that was not the primary target. They burrow to avoid pain for the time being, and the Vilgorkor will indeed be able to stuff them. There's more units where that came from Tudor, but they are not able to sync up, so no focus fire onto the Convolisks is a big whiff, I feel like. Definitely an option where they could have done a little bit of something. Now, Tier 2 is not quite in the cards here for Desire. Instead, they've gone for the ski back. They're going to go for Bactylisks. They can saturate that third base at some point when they take a look at it again. Milestone finishing up his Nexus at the second spot and starting to add Stargates. We've seen Milestone be quite a menace in that respect. Noiturne has a third base up and running, and they did evacuate most of their workers as well, so it must be said they are not hurting too bad economically. Plus, they have the biggest bank in the game. Gas notwithstanding. Somebody honks outside because they know that I was right. That's just what I fanfiction in my head. The reasoning for Tudor's economy isn't stellar, right? Set aside the bank for a moment. His income isn't great. He doesn't have the most workers. His natural is not actually saturated. I mean, whatever you call this is not actually saturated to second base. So not looking too hot on that front. Desire much better economically speaking, but do they have the composition to deal with this? I feel like they need a lot more Hydras to punch through the Vilgorikors. If the Bactylisks can actually target the backline, then maybe we can get somewhere, but they are being ensnared. The Convolisks need to be focused down by those Phalanxes. We need to see good targeting here from Tudor, but right now he's just kind of letting the auto-target happen, and Ecclesius goes down to speed up even all the Zerg, a rare sight to see indeed. And yeah, okay, the Phalanxes will help bring down the whole world in favor of our Western team. So we're at a little bit of an impasse. It's Zealot, not Zealot, Legionnaire Ecclesiast here for Milestone, an interesting choice. Tier 2 now coming for Tudor. No such thing in sight for Desire. They're pretty close to the gas requirement, but they are spending down their minerals quite nicely. And they've got the Vornath Pond coming. So Milestone just ends up losing a couple of forces there. He opens up this ramp for his opponents. I don't know if that was a wise decision exactly. The Gosvalet's now being sniped by the Eidolons. Those advanced Zerg workers do cost a little bit of S-Beam, so it is painful to lose them. Noiturne coming down with a ton of Convolisks and a good number of Quas as well. But here come the Panoptises. Can they be focused down by any of the anti-air right now? I think the answer is no, as the Legionnaires have caused splash damage onto those Eidolons. That is rough. And now with the Panoptises here, it's not looking too hot, boys. The Aziricors come in for good anti-air, like, I would just say reasonable overall, like, chaff and stuff, especially versus Quas. So that's going to be pretty nice, but it's also going to be pretty devastating here. Since there's no anti-air defenses in this position, the workers burrow, that Eidolon is going to get focused down. Now this this push is not actually being driven back just yet. It's going to need a little bit more oomph behind it, but at the same time with Desire falling back to try to deal with those Panoptises that have now stopped the Atlas moments from its completion. No anti-air is complete or present. A Goliath is out, a couple of Goliaths out here. Those will be able to do their best to push them away. And remember, during this time, Milestone is very much focused on that. He still has a couple more coming, but it looks like this push has been halted. A couple more units could have been moved over there, but now look at this. Oh, it's brutal, man. There's no defenses over there. The Goliaths can't follow. This is one of those things where if they had been able to scout in the Stargates, they probably would have prepared for this. But as of now, they are just being harassed mostly to death by just 3 Panoptises. Remember, Tudor was already not scaling his economy very well, and he's only gone down in workers since then. I think he went from 37 to 33. So, since the last time I looked at him, of course. And now, with the Aziricors coming in to try to shoo away those Panoptises, is there anti-air defense? There's 1 Spraith. That's not going to be enough to deal with that Panoptis ground. A Talos repairing the Goliath. It's going to be good enough to kill one of the Panoptises. The other one will be caught as well. And now Aziricors have discovered the Panoptises over here. They're going to shoo them away to the higher ground. And, at this point, right, Milestone's just trying to macro up back at home. He doesn't really want to pick a fight. He got a lot of idle scribes at the third base, of course. That is the natural, but that's where the base he took third. And here come the Zetracor hordes. Despite staffing some more forces over here, that Hatrosk is going to go down. So Desire is going to be reset a little bit. He could just put it back, though. Like, you can just drop that Hatrask again. That's not too bad. No real staying power here as far as, like, sending Zets to deal with Quasi-Zero Core. That's, like, the hardest counter you could possibly come up with to the Zethar Core. Maybe if some of these were Vorvs or whatever, it would be a bit different. Now, here come 9 Panoptises. Now, what is the response? We don't have any... we do have tier 2 coming, like, actually being actuated right now for Tudor, but we don't have a horde of a stack of Goliaths, really. We only have, like, what, 5? We don't have a bunch of, Panoptis counters in the way of you would maybe go for Madrigals or something like that. The horde of Zethar Cores is still waypointing into this position. I don't think they're going to be able to break through. They're actually on a move command anyway. And we see that the Spraits are being killed by this force. Spraits attack pretty fast now, so they aren't terrible versus this, but really all they do is buy time. What we need to see out of this team is some kind of splash damage. Sikralisks from Desire once he reaches tier 2. Or, you know, I guess you could go Ramses the way that I think it looks like that's what's happening. By the way, tier 3 coming for Noiturne. At this point, he is looking like he's just going to go in for the tech supremacy route. But yes, Ramses would penetrate Panoptises, so it's not terrible. But as of right now, I mean, he just put down a reservoir. He's going to want to cancel that so he doesn't just lose all the money. The Goliaths spring up to potentially defend the main base, but he's going to lose his Ministry for his troubles. Not good. Not good at all. Would love to see some Madrigals or something like that. There's a ton of floated larvae over here for Desire. Lots of Vespene, but not very many, not very much anything else. No Iris either. Could have taken tier 2 a very long time ago. After destroying the Ministry and stopping the reservoir from building, it looks like Milestone will retreat, even though it didn't really look like he needed to. Yeah, he's got the doom stack of Panoptises right about now. Yeah, 24 Panoptises, 2 control groups in StarCraft 1. The Scout is useful, question mark? So it's Panoptises or Eusthaleth to charge on in and basically just take forever to be killed. That seems to be the play here. Noiturne waiting for his tier 3. This attack might actually finish them off. They've been so weakened on the Western Front that it doesn't really feel like they're even going to need to actuate their tech transition. No tier 2 means no enhanced defenses here. No spear tips that deal the bounce attack to damage more of the Panoptises. 3 of them have gone down so far. The Goliaths and Iziricors are out here, but they're also dealing with all of the brood spawn. They fly on into the main base where there is a lot of static defense waiting for them, as well as the Goliaths, but nothing that shoots up for splash damage. Nothing that deals splash damage. We got cataphracts being made right now, but that's not really going to be particularly useful. Milestone is just right-clicking the static defense and erasing them as the Goliaths continue to push them back. Noiturne, on the other hand, has continued the push into the natural. This is it. Mountain apparently hit the enter key and typed his 3232. I don't know what that means, but he's typing in code. And look at all the Rilla cores. Look at the brood spawn barreling up the ramp as the Panoptises continue to basically just put the nail in the coffin. No expansion for Tudor. His Ministry is destroyed yet again, and no way to hold the onslaught incoming from Noiturne. You can see he's letting his forces run amok. He's sending another rally towards this position where there's only a little bit of anti-surface defense, and the Panoptises are absolutely wrecking Tudor right now. A single cataphract has been made, and it is killing Rilla after Rilla, but it is not going to be enough. Ladies and gentlemen, our Eastern team has done it. Very cool 2v2, and cool to see that, we got to see Tudor, who's signed up for the tournament. I did say earlier that, like, 2 out of 4 were here. I actually forgot. I think Noiturne decided not to sign up after all, but that's okay. Maybe Milestone will sign up now that I've said this. But no, I do think that at this point, it's a pretty cool play. I guess Smarty was here watching or something. That's kind of funny. But pretty cool stuff to see there. I think Tudor definitely needed to work on the saturation of the base and probably expand a little bit sooner. Knowing what to do when your opponent starts swooping in with a bunch of Panoptises can be a bit tricky because they're more durable than your average, air stack. They're also a lot more expensive, though. So if you can get them, if you can bop them, then you can get very, very far ahead. Ramses penetrate them on the kinetic penetration side, where you deal half damage to all targets that aren't the first target that gets hit, which does still stack up quite a bit because Ramses have really good DPS. But, another option would have been, of course, dare I say, the Valkyrie, especially now that it's on tier 1, might be of use. There's also, you know, there's a couple of other things that you might be able to throw in there. Obviously, we didn't see too much from Desire, who got up to a ridiculous amount of bases and saturation and workers and resources, but didn't end up teching. And that was probably another thing that for a while Desire looked like the strongest player in the lobby, but wasn't able to translate that into success. Hope you enjoyed the game. Hope you enjoyed the cast. We'll be back tomorrow for more Cosmonarchy. And I will see you guys this weekend for the tournament as well. Remember, if you want to donate towards the prize pool or just donate because you like the project, you can do so at our coffee page. We do appreciate it. And yeah, stay tuned for more news and announcements. It's going to be epic.